Hello, everyone, and welcome to Got Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast. I'm Alexandra August.
I'm Johnny Kolosinski.
And welcome to our Season 7 pregame show.
Yeah.
It's time to get hype.
We are so close. We're recording this on Saturday, so 8 days from the premiere. We'll be releasing it on Monday, so 6 days left for you guys.
Exactly. You guys are probably way more hyped than we are right now.
Yeah. So close. So close. Yeah, so we wanted to just take this time and do a quick recap of where everyone is right now, what happened, what's changed, because those last 120 minutes have been, huge. And then
game-changing, if you will.
Game-changing, yes. And then do a little bit of discussion on what we want to see, what we don't want to see, what we think we will see, but really don't want to see. Dorn. Our hopes and dreams and nightmares
what we're hoping
for the end of the season.
Yeah, hopes, dreams, nightmares for season 7. What we'd like, what we don't want to like, what we don't like. Johnny and I have come up with a couple of points on either side that neither of us know about, so it's going to be a little bit of like a Got Thrones dating game.
Yeah.
Or a little bit of a Got Thrones match game towards the end. I'm really curious to see if any of ours match up. Yeah, before that, like we said, we're going to kind of go region by region. Imagine you're like Cersei and Jaime in the trailer, and we're standing on a big map carpet, just going around Westeros, and catching up with who's who, where's where, and what's going to and where we last left off in season 6. So Why don't we start with the North, considering I think it's the region that underwent the most drastic changes.
Everything is different in the North. I mean, we can start at the Wall, where Jon Snow has basically said, fuck you guys, my oath lasted till I was dead, and I was dead, so peace out.
Yeah, I'm punched out.
Don't break things. Because like, Dolorous Ed is in charge.
Like the look on Jon's face as he left Castle Black was just like, this has been the worst few years.
This has been a horrible internship.
I'm so glad that I was resurrected, so I don't have to do this anymore. That was incredibly.
I recommend it to everyone.
This is I was just thinking about Jon's tenure in the Night's Watch and how just dour and grim and bleak it was from just day one. Like,
poor
guy. So anyway, he's no longer at Castle Black. Dolorous Ed is the stand-in Lord Commander, and
Dolorous Ed is the Dwight Schrute running things while they find the new guy.
Oh, I like Dolorous Ed better than Dwight Schrute, but I feel like that comparison would make Dwight Schrute very happy. Actually, no, it wouldn't. He would be really upset and want to be Jon Snow or somebody. I don't know what I was thinking.
You'd be very upset and want to be Roose Bolton.
It's like I don't even know Dwight. I don't even know him. So, beyond the Wall, we still have Bran, who's sort of struggling to get, I assume, to Winterfell. We don't really know. We know that Uncle Benjen,
Benjen Cold Hands.
Yeah, we may or may not see him again in season 7. I feel like I heard that we might, but I can't confirm that. And the sticking point there is that he cannot travel beneath the Wall. So the show, the show did make it a point. The show did make it a point to let us know that the Wall is full of magic. And the Wall is made from magic, and certain things cannot pass beneath it, which is why it does act as a spiritual barrier. And the only reason I bring that up is because that fact is very well communicated in the novels, and I don't think it has been on the show. I feel like they haven't leaned as heavily into that, which I hope they do in season 7, because the Wall coming down is monumentous, because most likely it would happen due to magic.
Right, and there's also a lot more foreshadowing of the Wall will come down in the books than there has been in the show thus far.
Yeah, there's actually a device. There's a device that called, I believe it's the Horn of Winter, right?
Horn
of Joramun caused the dragons.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's the Horn of Winter. Then I always get those two confused.
The Horn of Winter is a mythical artifact that supposedly, when blown can collapse the wall. The mere fact that
and maybe in Euron's hands.
Yeah, though...
Or may have been buried north of the wall.
I think actually... I don't know, because Euron talks about, during the Kingsmoot, about how he had somebody blow the horn and it incinerated their lungs. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was the horn of... Anyway, that's not important, because I doubt we're going to see it.
Yep.
So the wall... Yeah. So Bran is milling about north of the wall, close by with Mira. Mm-hmm. And Dolorous is in command. Down a little bit farther south, Winterfell is under new management.
Yeah, Winterfell is under new management. We've got Sansa, who has reclaimed it as the rightful heir of Winterfell, with Littlefinger looming in the background somewhere,
and Jon Snow
smiling that creepy smile, and Jon Snow with his hair blowing in the breeze.
And taking all of the credit for her win. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that she's taken her place as rightful heir. I think Jon is legitimized and now seen to be the warden of the I don't know if he's not warden of the North, but like is now seen to be.
I think there's going to be some power struggle.
Oh yeah, completely. I think that's definitely a given.
Especially with Littlefinger there.
Well, yeah, and especially with like everybody way more comfortable. Everybody essentially deifying Jon Snow at the end of The Winds of Winter in season 6 and proclaiming him the White Wolf, and Sansa seeming to enjoy that, but I'm sure it's not going to take much for Littlefinger to sow the seeds of discontent.
Yes,
between them,
and we have Arya on her way.
Mm-hmm. She had to take care of something in the Riverlands.
Yep, she's got some work to do first, but she did her work because Walder Frey is no more.
Is no more. Neither are two other Freys, so...
Yep. He has ceased to be.
So another thing that I wanted to bring up, though, about the North before we head away from there. So Sansa and Jon are, sort of co-managing Winterfell. I'm sure they're doing it pretty well. Littlefinger's there. My question is, there are two pretty big power... I'm just wondering if the show's going to address this. There's two pretty big... There's two pretty big power vacuums that have been created, or I guess 3, that were created by the Battle of the Bastards and the outcome of that. And there are no more, like, the House Umber, House Karstark, and House Bolton are effectively no more, or are greatly reduced in strength and numbers, and probably are going to be subjected to punitive damages by Jon and the forces loyal to him. And I'm wondering if we're not going to see any fallout from that, if we're not going to see... If it's going to be just business as usual in the North, and they're going to look at Jon and Sansa being reinstalled as sort of a reset button to the way things were when Ned was around, or if we're actually going to see some outcome, we're actually going to see some fallout from the fact that there's really only one major house left. Right. One major house with any power.
My thoughts on that are that we aren't going to see... This is purely from a storytelling standpoint, not from a what I want to see or what we might see in a similar situation in the books. But I don't think we're going to see anything regarding House Bolton or the Dreadfort, simply because I think it'd be confusing as all heck.
Oh no, I don't think we're going to see any more of them. I think I'm curious to see if there are any. If they're going to be like, I'm curious to see if by eliminating them, by eliminating the Boltons, eliminating the Umbers, eliminating the Karstarks, for better or for worse. I know there's still like bits and pieces of those houses left, but they're obviously not what they were. I'm wondering if we're going to see other lesser houses see that power vacuum and try to snap up any of their lands that are up for grabs, or essentially just try to take their place in a way that would cause friction with the Starks. I don't know. What I'm curious about it's like, are the remaining forces going to be completely loyal to the Starks, or are they going to take advantage of the fact that, like, well, there used to be like 4 really big boys on the playing field, and now there's only one.
I think that might be where we see the first butting of heads between Jon and Sansa.
Perhaps, yeah.
Is okay, how do we punish, how do we reward? I hope that we end up seeing the ancestral home of the Karstarks, just because I want it to be canon in the show that they live in the Carhold, which is just a fancy name for garage.
I was going to say, it's a driveway.
Yeah.
The Karstarks, I always feel sort of bad for them because they don't... I I don't know, I like Alice Karstark, but there's just not much of them in the books that makes me like, I'm like, you're Stark cousins.
Yeah.
And you're like crotchety and mean, and
they're middle management of the North.
Yeah. You killed what's his face? Tommen 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they just never seemed like spectacularly interesting to me. Not in the way that the Boltons are, not in the way that the Umbers were.
Right.
So I always just kind of like, you guys are sort of personality-less, and I have a really hard time whenever I always subconsciously place people in modern settings, and I have a really hard time placing the Karstarks anywhere. The Starks,
Lumberg from Office Space.
No. Like, in what environment though?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's not something that we have to talk about now, but yeah, like the Starks are always in. The Starks are like in Montana, something like that, or like Pacific Northwest, and I like the Lannisters kind of go back and forth between like the Hamptons or Orange County. But like really wealthy Orange County, and then you see where I'm going from there.
Yep.
So, anyway, so I think that's all I'm really curious about in the North.
Yeah.
Or at least that's where we stand in the North.
That's where we stand.
Arya's in transit. Do you think we're going to see Arya immediately arrive in the North? Or do you think we're going to see her chilling? Do you think we're going to see her on the way at some point?
I think that we're going to see her arrive at a fortuitous moment that essentially be the peacemaker between Jon and Sansa.
Okay, I can go with that.
And have that nice family togetherness moment.
I don't see her being much of a peacemaker, but I want to see that dinner table.
Yeah, not so much peacemaker as in guys get along as much as guys, we could kill Cersei.
Or she just kills Littlefinger.
Or she just kills Littlefinger.
I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
You're not going to kill me, Sansa. I'm going to take care of this right now. Cool. All right. Well, then I think that's where everybody stood. I think let's head south to King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is down one sept.
Yeah. King's Landing has had an urban redevelopment project.
The skyline is drastically changed.
Yes. It is down one sept, down one rather high septon, down one monarch, down one house, essentially, with the exception of Olenna.
It makes me so sad, because I used to sort of, when I thought about how I was just thinking about this today, and I was drawing up our little kind of order of events of what to talk about, and I was thinking about who was lost in the steps, and I was going over it, and I was like, okay, Loras, Marjorie, and then I was like, oh, not Mace, and I remembered that Mace was there, and it just immediately took me back to the line when Olenna is speaking to Ilaria and saying, Cersei stole a future from me, and for some reason, I just emotionally connected to the fact that she really had spent her entire life working to better her house, working to train her children and her grandchildren, and moving those pieces on her own kind of personal chessboard in order, for the greater good of the Tyrell name and the Reach and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure just also for her own fun. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because you get the sense that, if she did have a Marjorie runner-up in one of, like, her million cousins or something like that, we would have heard about it already, and we would have seen that character, and it really seems like the only thing Olenna has left right now is her revenge. Yeah,
I hadn't thought about it till you said that, but she's very much a benevolent Tywin.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's more pragmatic than Tywin. I think the problem with Tywin is that Tywin, really, at the end of the day, like, his ego got the better of him.
Mm-hmm.
Despite how, like, he was harsh and everything, and he didn't make a lot of friends, but where he really, really, I think, tripped up was being a dictatorian.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, but she, she just outlived all of her children.
And named grandchildren.
She also liked her grandchildren more than Tywin, I think, liked anybody in his entire family.
I think this is true, although we never got to see Tywin and Myrcella.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder... I don't know. I don't see him as the, like, sort of doting grandfatherly type.
No.
I feel like he would have been, like, nice to her, but dismissive.
Yeah, that sounds rather accurate.
I hope not, though. Just because we know Myrcella, and Myrcella was nothing like Arya, so clearly He likes little Spitfires, and I think he did have great affection for Cersei. It was just when Cersei continuously acted like a jackass because of the position that he put her into.
Yeah,
they stopped getting along. They all just really, I want to see the Lannisters in modern times with access to therapy, because I just feel like they'd all be really different people, and I want to see it.
Good grief counselor would have changed everything.
Tyrion, I feel like, would wind up much the same, but...
Yeah, Tyrion would have ended up much the same, but, he would have been able to go off in the van for 3 years.
Exactly, yeah. He would have been able to, be a hippie and,
join the Peace Corps.
Farm pot in Northern California, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so, speaking of that family, though, Cersei and Jaime are the only two Lannisters left in King's Landing, and the only other person loyal to them... Really, is of note is Qyburn. And the Mountain.
And the Mountain.
But what else they only have Lannister forces right there, right?
Pretty much. It's not like they've got the Kingsguard, they've got Lannister forces, and whatever they can muster from Flea Bottom.
And the Royal Army.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, question here. Is there a Royal Army? Or would Robert just call upon Lannister and Baratheon forces? Or
if we're going straight historical, he would have just called upon his vassals, yes.
Right, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah. So, but Cersei can't do that in the sense that I don't think she has any more loyal vassals. They have so they have River Run, but the Lannisters are controlling River Run, and they have the Freys, but the
Freys have their own shit to deal with.
Freys have their own problems to deal with, and as Jaime pointed out, why exactly do we need you if you can't even hold a castle? So the Freys, they have them, but they're not super functional, and they're also conceivably cut off from a fair amount of their forces in Lannisport. So while Jaime might be able to go out and get rally troops in that area in the Westerlands, Cersei's largely cut off. Aside from
she's got gold cloaks and the Lannister forces in that are in town.
Mm-hmm. And she's got the fleet, the Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Which may or may not, I'm not sure if they ever managed to rebuild it. But speaking of, we also have, I'm kind of sidestepping a little bit. We also have Ronnie Greyjoy, who's out and about somewhere. But I'm expecting him to wind up at King's Landing, but as of the end of Season 6, we don't really know where he's building ships at the end of Season 6.
Right. I'm expecting him to either wind up at King's Landing or for us to just see him straight at Dragonstone. I'm sorry. Dragonstone.
Oh, to attack, you mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think we could see both of those things. We could probably see both those things in the same episode.
Yeah.
I hope, given that both the showrunners have said that the pace of this season has really ramped up, which I'm very happy they're doing, just because I think if you were going to up the pace, now is the time to do it.
Well, that's it. Plus, everyone's finally on the same continent.
Yeah. I'm excited to get to what we want to see, because it has something to do with it. So, all right. So King's Landing, we've got the two Lannisters in charge. We've got Qyburn there. I have to wonder at this point what Qyburn's functionality is going to be. I think they're kind of changing his character a little bit to be less of a Dr. Frankenstein and more of a Littlefinger meets Dr. Frankenstein, or Varys meets Dr. Frankenstein. I'm still not mad at Qyburn. I would still have lunch with Qyburn more than I would myself.
Qyburn's getting the job done.
Yeah. Qyburn, he gets the job done.
He saw an opening and he took it. I don't think that he's loyal to Cersei or loyal to the Lannisters from any emotional point as much as this is the chaos that is my ladder.
Yeah. What's interesting though, he's so kindly. It's so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I like him so much for some reason. I loved him during the conversation he had with Jaime when he's taking Jaime away from, I forget what the castle was, but, when Brienne's still there and they rescue, Jaime gets to take Qyburn with him back to King's Landing.
Uh-huh.
And he has this beautiful speech about how, he might have operated on people to their deaths, but he saved a bunch of people, and how many people has Jaime saved? And then Jaime's like, well, the population of King's Landing, and Qyburn's like, well, okay, but you get what I'm saying. It's, he's an endearing man, and you go, he doesn't appear to be emotionally loyal or kind of emotionally devoted to Cersei, but he appears very grateful that he's in this position. And yeah, I just don't sense a lot of malice from him. I think he's just having a really good time.
Yeah, and
he's living his best life. Qyburn is living his best life.
And he likes the kids.
He does like the kids. If he starts operating on one of the kids, though, we're going to have a problem. So
yeah,
it's interesting. He's a really enigmatic character because in the book he is much more of a like kind of, you know, hunchback of Notre Dame, or more kind of just more like a mad scientist.
Yeah,
I don't know where Hunchback of Notre Dame dropped in there. That doesn't make any sense. But he's much more of a mad scientist in the books, and here
he's a Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, and you just and in the show there's just. I would almost, if it was in the hands of a lesser actor, I would say like, okay, this guy's just not making a choice, and I can't pin him down, and it's bothering me. But there's a choice here. It's just, I just don't know really what it is, and it kind of works with his character. It works with the characterization and how he's written. Just somebody from whom you never really know what to expect.
Yeah.
For good or for ill.
Right.
I like that the mountain is also like kind of his pet too.
Yeah.
I want to see them have a spin-off. It's Sir Gregor. He likes children. Don't be afraid. Oh, or a Mountain Child spin-off. All right. We can move on.
Speaking of the mountain, we also have the Hound, who is likely on his way.
Well, okay, we can probably just do the Riverlands at this point. Okay, so River Run is under Lannister control. Mm-hmm. The twins are still under Frey control, but minus 3 Freys.
But we don't know which Frey.
Minus the Frey in charge. And probably pretty wigged out about how that happened. And I wonder if they're not going to blame the Lannisters, or if they're going to use Walder Frey's absence to change allegiances and stop being such total fucktards.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
the Freys are just
I don't even
stupid.
know if we're going to see the Freys again.
I would not be upset with that.
I like, because there's so much that would need to be established with this is new Frey. Mm-hmm. Whether it's whichever line of allegiance they take, it seems like it seems like it would be difficult storytelling to bring them back into the fight.
It would be a lot of work for characters that nobody's particularly nuts about. That said, I don't think that the alliance between the Freys and the Lannisters is strong.
No.
And I think that Admiral Tully is still in that dungeon, and I think the death of Walder Frey would, if he's let out, if somebody on the Frey team is stupid enough to let Admiral Tully out while Walder Frey is dead, then, or after Walder Frey has died, then I think Admiral Tully at this point would take that as a shot at redemption, and either install himself as head of the Frey clan, or use that in some capacity to just remain a hostage under guard at River Run and be like, okay, listen, it's my family's castle. Like, just let me be responsible for it. I showed you loyalty before. Walder Frey's dead. I have a kid. Like, come on now. This is just now like a regular alliance. I married your daughter. We have a child. Like, let me go back to River Run. We'll be chill. Let's just go back to the way things were. Mm-hmm. Where we just looked across.
None of us liked him. We all know that, right?
Well, yeah.
None of us liked him.
Yeah, I feel like the Tullys and the Freys never really liked each other either. So I feel like they could easily just go back. And I don't know how much the Freys were loyal to Walder Frey's vision. I think what's going to be interesting is, I think it'll be interesting regardless to see what House Frey does now that Walder Frey is gone. And the facts on the ground are that they don't have a lot of power.
Right. Without
the Lannisters.
Right.
So.
Side note on Walder Frey, just really quick. The actor whose name is escaping me
David Bradley.
Now, David Bradley, is going to be in the Doctor Who Christmas special.
As Walder Frey?
As Walder Frey. No, as the first Doctor.
Wow.
So, yeah, that'll be cool.
I'm on 8 different hype trains right now.
Because first Doctor, not super, kind of prickly. Not Frey prickly, but
no Walder Frey.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for that too. Yeah. All right. I'm always excited to see more David Bradley. He's one of my favorites. So I think with that, we can take a little sojourn down to Old Town.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Jilly are presumably still at...
Yep. Sam's reading.
The Citadel. Sam's reading. The Angry Maester is
still angry.
Shooing away women and children as they come up. And, yeah, I mean, I think I have things to say about this, but I'm going to wait till we talk about, till we talk about our hopes and dreams later on.
Okay, that sounds good.
So, but yeah, Sam and Gilly have just gotten to Old Town, and Sam still has Heartsbane, so I think it's pretty, and we know that we're seeing... They've recast Dick and Charlie because Freddie Stroma moved on to a now canceled ABC show. And so they recast Dick and Charlie with someone roughly twice his size. Who's just straight out of, Black Sails, I think. He's extremely handsome. And, very dashing. So he's been cast, and I would cautiously assume that he and Sam are at some point going to meet and have words over that sword. And I really hope that Dickens, just fucking keep it. I don't like it. I never even wanted it. It's too big. Okay.
We're saving it.
Yeah, we'll save that. So Sam's there with a stolen sword and lots of books.
Yep.
And
a girlfriend.
And a girlfriend. I think she's more than a girlfriend. They have a child.
Yeah.
Someone else's baby mama. So the South.
South, Dorne's still a thing.
Dorne, yeah, and it looks like we are definitely going to be seeing more of the Sand Snakes and Eloria. Obviously, they've formed an alliance with Olenna and Daenerys, but I don't like... Eloria got her revenge, and they whiffed it. It was a stupid revenge, and I'm not happy about it. Mm-hmm. But she did it. That story's over. I don't see how else to make her interesting, unless they start lifting heavily from What's-Her-Face in Dance with Dragons. And possibly the Winds of Winter chapter that's been released. What's her Arianne?
Arianne, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what else she could do aside from annoy the shit out of me.
And bang Yara.
Oh, that's right. We did see that. So, but Dorne at this point has joined forces with the Tyrells, and I think that also covers the Reach. I'm more terrified of Olenna than anybody on this map.
Yeah.
It really, don't fuck with Olenna on a good day. And
I'm not terrified for Olenna.
No, not for Olenna, no.
Yeah.
Of Olenna. And
yes.
She's not even real.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have Daenerys Stormborn. First of her name.
Yes, who's finally in transit.
Yeah, who is on a boat, and she's going fast.
They are going really fast. Very, very fast boats. Almost as fast as Ronnie is building boats.
Yeah, almost as fast as Gendry rows, I assume.
Yes. Gendry doesn't row very quickly, I don't think.
Yeah, we've got Dany, who, as we've seen in the trailers, is going to be landing at Dragonstone, and we're gonna see some shit.
That was really articulate. I'm glad people tuned in.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't think that we can.
That was in my bullet points for the episode. See some shit.
So, Dany essentially is. I feel like she's energetically ready to sit the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Whereas before she took basically all her time to grow up and to empty her purse out of all the fucks. She doesn't care about her boyfriend. She has left Marine in his very capable hands. She has her dragons, and she's learned how to deal with anybody who fucks with her in both a heavy-handed and a light-handed way. So she's ready to go. And that's actually, as whiny as everybody got about waiting for her to actually get over there, it was thrilling to see her on a ship and looking very, very regal and very commanding. She looked like a military commander, and it was thrilling to see that, especially knowing what's the word I'm looking for? The banner she kind of carries, or the mantle she's carrying, given her ancestry, given what Aegon did, and to have her do it again as a woman is very, very exciting to watch.
And I will also say that she has the best team built up.
Yeah.
I mean, John's really got Sansa. Ed, if you count Ed at the Wall,
Yeah.
and
The sad thing is, like,
and Davos,
yeah,
and Melisandre.
Kind of.
Melisandre's
She's gone, but
gone,
but not
and not especially. Other than
John sent her away. I don't think we can say that John has Melisandre. He actively sent her away and said he would kill her if he saw her again in the North. So
okay, that's true. So Dany has Melisandre.
Well, and it's funny. It's like John has Sansa, but he kind of does it because Littlefinger has Sansa.
His Littlefinger has Sansa. He's got Davos.
Yeah, and plus Davos.
Cersei has Jaime, but at some point in time, Jaime's going to offer good advice, and Cersei won't listen.
Cersei has her demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cersei has wine.
Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, I mean, Dany has Olenna, Dany has Varys, Dany has the rage, if not the wisdom, of the Sand Snakes and Delaria, and she has Yara, she has Theon for what he's worth, and a bunch of fucking ships.
And Tyrion.
And Tyrion.
And Grey Worm. And Missandei.
And 3 dragons.
And 3 dragons.
So
I think you can tell which team we're leaning towards in the War of the Three Queens.
Who's the third
queen? One could be either Jon or Sansa.
Why is Jon
It's the hair.
Okay, I like that. That was a solid joke. So, all right, yeah, so that's where we stand. Everybody's basically poised to attack. And
yeah.
Except for Sam and Gilly.
Yep, Sam and Gilly are poised to hang out.
I'm kind of, I don't know, guys. I'm a little bit like, it's going to be really emotional. It's going to be hard to be. I feel like it's going to be really difficult if the show moves as quickly as they're promising, and there are as many big battles and big budget episodes happening, and they're continuously meeting the standards that they set last year with Winds of Winter and Battle of the Bastards. It's going to, I don't know how coherently or cogently I'm going to be able to speak about this immediately after viewing it.
That's a great plug for our show, Alex. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're obviously going to.
Yeah.
I'm making a point of just how.
But it might just be screams.
I might have to legitimately we might have to do a 10-second okay, John, or a full minute of Johnny and I just being like, oh my god, and this, oh my god, and this, and then we'll get to actual coherent discussion. But I might need an on-air freak out for at least a little bit after each episode. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's move on to hopes and dreams, desires and nightmares.
Yeah.
Hopes and dreams and nightmares. So Johnny and I have each picked out 3 things we would love to see and 3 things we would not want to see. And we're going to reveal them to each other and discuss. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
One by one.
Yeah. Bam, 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 bam.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little one, but I'm really excited and think there's a lot of potential. And it's Arya and Nymeria reuniting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's small, but it will be...
It would mean so much.
For me, that would be the first real moment of Arya not just no longer being no one, but Arya being Arya Stark as opposed to Arya being badass assassin Arya Stark.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, I think from my perspective, it's just, we know in the books that Nymeria is out there, that Nymeria is straight formed an entire girl gang of wolves and is terrorizing the Riverlands. Which just makes
Arya is Nymeria is very much Arya's dog.
Yeah, and Nymeria's just fucking up shit right and left because I think she's just still angry about the way things went down.
Yeah.
But, which just makes me happy. And so, I feel like given that, I think my money's on the fact that we're going to see Arya in transit before she gets to Winterfell, and I'm just fingers crossed.
Especially after Summer and Shaggy Dog.
Yeah, and this would be a very small moment. Yeah, you're right. It would be a very small thing, but I would cry as much as I cried when Sansa and Jon got back together. We haven't seen Nymeria since episode 2 of season 1. She was sent away in the King's Road.
Yeah. So it's a small thing, but it's something I want to see.
I'm with you on that one. That's a good one.
Okay.
I would like the Lannister siblings to have like a group hug, heart to heart, tete-a-tete, where Tyrion gets to express grief that all of his nieces and nephews are dead, in horrible ways, and Cersei and Jaime just receive it, and they actually don't hate each other for a hot second. I would like to see some resolution with that relationship. I don't think it's super realistic, especially when it comes to Cersei, but I'm so moved when during season 2 when Jaime's not there and Cersei and Tyrion are having to work hard or having to work together to rule King's Landing, and at some point she expresses her fear about her children and Jaime, and he just kind of steps sort of close to her and very tentatively touches her hand. And every moment from in the books, from Tyrion's point of view, when Cersei shows him, like during that same season or during the Clash of Kings, when they realize that something happened where they beat back Stannis or something. They got good news about something, and she gets so excited that she picks him up and she swings him around, and he talks about like how elated that made him feel and how like weird it was. And I think they've made Cersei sympathetic to a degree, as crazy as she is, and I feel like she is more in common with Tyrion than either of them like really appreciate. And I think it would be really nice if in some capacity they could have some kind of resolution. I don't think she was that excited about her dad to begin with.
See, this was also on my list.
It was? Of things that you wanted or things you didn't want?
Things that I did want, but from the entirely different perspective. I want the moment where Tyrion gets to tell Cersei, you sent me, you never let me close. You had the opportunity. I would have been this for you.
Ooh, I like that.
I would have been your hand.
Well, because I feel like that conversation would be predicated on the fact that Cersei at some point would have to accept that Tyrion's very talented.
Right.
And would express that, which would essentially be like Tywin doing it. And then I feel like I agree with you. I think seeing sort of the emotional outburst be like, yeah, you could have had it. I would have done this for you. And I would have been so loyal, and I would have loved you, and I would have slain every fucking dragon for you.
It would have been the Blackwater every day.
Exactly. And now there's nothing!
And now there's nothing. And now you got a hole where the sept used to be and a hole where your kid used to be. And it's all on you.
Ooh, yeah. Fingers crossed. All right, what's your next one? Or what's your last one, I guess?
My last one is, and we're probably going to see it, and I know it's not something you're as excited about, Jon discovering his Targiness.
Oh, that's right. That's something we completely forgot to mention, by the way, in our season 6 recap. I was like, yeah, Bran's north of the wall, whatever. Oh, right. He knows that Jon's Targaryen. Like a big one. Like the king.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, if in case you forgot, R plus L equals J for sure.
Yeah, that little bit. Because to me, it's going to do one of two things or both. It's going to cement his claim as someone who can not only defend the North from Cersei craziness, but also defend the realm from what's happening north of the Wall. And it also will potentially be the end of the Jon Sansa conflict, because Jon Targaryen doesn't need to feel like he should, like Winterfell is his.
Well, that, and I also feel like it might even switch Littlefinger's allegiances. And when I say switch, I don't think anything's going to stop him from being Moon Knight over Sansa, but I don't think even Littlefinger would sacrifice that kind of knowledge and that kind of power for this woman and for her interests. So I think that not that they would necessarily be in conflict. I think that if Littlefinger found out that Jon was a Targaryen, I think Littlefinger would be making nice to Jon right quick, or finding a way to exploit that very quickly, regardless of how Sansa felt about it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, like I said, I think that's the only thing that could get Littlefinger to. Littlefinger's kind of toast now. I heard there was another podcast, I forget who was talking about it, but Littlefinger effectively has revealed his one weakness to the one person who can exploit it, and that's Sansa, and his weakness is her. And it would be really be interesting if he found out that Jon was a Targaryen and used that influence to leverage his position with her somehow.
Right.
Or vice versa. I don't know. I think that would throw a wrench into what we expect to happen with Littlefinger, which is that he'll just follow around Sansa and try to manipulate her until eventually she's like, "Hey, thank you for all of this, and I really appreciate all of your lessons, but you killed my dad, so bye."
Yeah. So what is your number 2?
My number 2. This is kind of a silly one, but I also think it just needs to happen for practical reasons. I want Jon to teach Dany how to fucking sword fight. I think they're gonna meet. I think they're gonna become friendly, despite how much I'm not interested in seeing them bone. Dany needs to. I think it needs to be like a whole Eowyn Lord of the Rings kind of thing, where Jon is like, "Listen, just because you don't wield a sword doesn't mean you can't die by one." And Dany's like, "You are right," and they do sword lessons.
So they have their montage.
Yeah, I want a little montage. And I want Dany to whip it out a little at some point. Like, I want Dany to get knocked off a dragon and have to do some hand-to-hand combat. Like, that would just be the crown of my Dany adoration. I've never been a huge Dany fangirl, but I love her journey.
But it'd take you to like a 4.
Yeah, it would take me, I would say it would pop me to a 7 or 8. Like, she rides those dragons and it's pretty cool. But, yeah. And then,
other potential would be Arya.
I don't see them having as much. I would love for them to meet too, but
yeah.
I want Arya to teach Sansa how to sword fight. I want them to have like a few. I want like Sansa
have a needlework lesson.
Yeah, well, I want sewing lessons. Or dancing lessons. I want Sansa to. I want Sansa and Arya to have like a sister moment where Sansa breaks down and tells her everything that happened with Ramsay, and I'm under no impression that any of this will happen. I know what show I watch, but it would be really nice if they she had like a little, a very special episode moment.
Yeah.
And she and Arya kind of broke down together and swapped stories about what happened to them, and then Arya is like, "I'll make sure this never happens to you again. Let me show you how to use..." And
then goes stabs Littlefinger.
Well, I think she just teaches her the sing thing from Miss Congeniality. Solo Pletz's instep. Nose groin. Thing.
Yeah. And then what's your last?
My last one is that I would like Beric to show Arya where her mother is buried.
Ooh.
Because I don't think we're gonna get a Lady Stoneheart.
No.
I'm pretty 99% positive that we aren't, but I think that would just be lovely. And I think that would be what I was just thinking about it, because I really wanted Lady Stoneheart, and I was just ruminating on my disappointment that we're not going to get it. And then I was like, because that story needs a little bit of resolution. Like, Catelyn needs a little bit of redemption. or I think the kids just need that a little bit. Like, because Catelyn received Ned's bones, and so she could mourn over them. But the kids, like, their mom just disappeared in this horrible way, and so did Robb. And it would be nice if Arya could pay homage to that.
That's solid.
Thanks.
Well done.
I hope it happens. Oh God! I mean, you'll know.
I got nothing on that one. That was just like, oof, yeah.
That also means that Arya gets to see the Hound if she's seeing Beric. So
yeah, there's that too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first on your?
Yes, I do.
On your nightmares, all right.
This isn't a nightmare. It's just a do not want, and it's motherfucking Clegane Bowl. I don't want it. It's a waste of time. I don't care who wins. The Hound has already been completely redeemed in my eyes, and I actually don't mind Mountain Butt. Like, I don't mind Frankenmountain. He's kind of funny looking and weird, and I feel like he has also been punished enough for his crimes. Like, he's a zombie robot. It's not great.
I care a lot more in the books than I do in the show.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
For that very reason.
It's kind of tough it's been tough to connect to Gregor Clegane because he's had like 6 lines and 3 different actors who've played him. Right. So, and I get it. It's not a criticism, but I care about the Hound, and I care more about the Hound, being emotionally healthy. Not
you'd rather that the Hound just got to hang out with Rey.
Well, no, I want him to hang out with I want him and Arya to just go around Westeros and fight crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down with that. He can be the Robin to her Batman.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm interested in. But
I will agree that I am I am excited for Clegane Bowl solely because of book Cleganes and not really because of show Cleganes.
Well, also, too, I
don't know what there is to win.
Yeah, and I'm not so excited about the hand-to-hand combat on this show, and this may just be because I just watched an episode of Preacher that I'm recapping, and the hand-to-hand combat on that show is way better. But, they can't, it's just medieval hand-to-hand combat has never been that stimulating to me. It's heavy, it's slow. These are two linebackers going at each other, and I'm not emotionally invested in it. I don't want to see it visually. I would rewatch. I like the big battle episodes. I think that's where the show really shines, is when they have these big, incredible, I don't know why I'm losing all my words, but these big, incredible spectacle battle scenes that are very polished and very well done and very cinematic. I think I don't have an appreciation for the swordplay, and I think, honestly, in order to accommodate filming and accommodate what's easiest to shoot around, they're not using traditional swordplay. I don't think anybody used two swords in their hands. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's plausible at all. But it was still a neat fight. But it's just another reason, like, why, unless I'm referring to the Ned and the sword Arthur Dane. Yeah, I don't mean to be disrespectful to the hand-to-hand combat that happens on the show. I think by and large it is really cool. It's just not. It's not what excites me to watch this show.
It's not what you want 10 minutes of the last 1,000 we have left.
Yeah, and it's also not like not these two guys. I would see the mountain battle Syrio Farrell.
Yeah.
That I would
or
be
Jon
excited
Snow.
About. Yeah, or Jon Snow. Yeah.
Or Jaime.
No, for some reason that doesn't excite me with Jaime. But yeah, like, something that's just a little less telegraphed and a little less contrived. Or predictable. Like, it's okay.
I mean, one of the reasons that Clegane Bowl is so exciting in the books is the potential of Clegane being the Church's champion versus the Mountain being Cersei's champion, and that doesn't need to happen anymore.
No, it doesn't. And also, too, Gregor Clegane has a much more sinister personality and a much more malicious personality and characterization in the books than he does in the show. He's an asshole in the show. He's a terrible person. But he doesn't run down a butcher's boy trying to get away. The Hound does that in episode 2. Mm-hmm. It's... and the Hound is, like, gorgeously humanized, but the Mountain just isn't as demonized, I think, as he needs to be for me to, like, really root for him to battle the Hound. And also, like I said, I like the Mountain bot. I like Frank and Gregor. I think he's kind of cute. It's terrible to say. Not, like, visually, just sort of the fact that he doesn't say anything. And
he's lurch cute.
Yeah, well, he reminds me of, he's lurch cute, or, like, he reminds me, everybody he kills reminds me of that scene between the Hulk and Loki in The Avengers.
Yeah, with the flipping of...
Yeah. Yeah, where Loki's flipping off. Oh my god, I'm... Boom! Be quiet. Like, I don't know. That's kind of how, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the string that the Hound, or the Mountain tickles in me, so. Yeah,
I can be on board, as much as I've been a Clegane Bowl hyper... last season, I can agree with you that it's of lower import than much else.
Well, and at this point, people have been so excited to see it that they're going to have a really hard time grounding this for me.
Yeah.
If they do it, like, it's going to have to be, like, I need to not see it coming and then be like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense for these two guys to finally have it out in this particular moment at this particular time. But the Mountain is in friggin' King's Landing. I don't see under what conditions Cersei would send him away, and we've already seen pictures of Sandor in the north, so yeah.
Yep.
Okay, do you want to go?
Yeah. Mine's going to be equally controversial.
Ooh.
Jansa.
Oh, party pooper.
Yeah.
You're denying the electric chemistry they have. And they know each other so well because they grew up together because they thought they were siblings.
Yeah, for me, the storytelling purpose of Jansa would be Jansa versus, I don't know, Sansalfinger. And we all know which way that would go. And I don't necessarily see there's no resolution of it that I want to see, so I'm not excited to see it happen or it be tested out. I don't think that there is a victory in Jon and Sansa being together. I don't think that either of them, like, it wouldn't be a lovely wooing or anything like that.
You don't think they're suited to each other for any reason?
I don't think they are, and I don't think they aren't.
Well, you're not really a shipper either. Like,
I'm also not really a shipper.
Mm-hmm. But you don't think it serves the story at all to have them together?
Pretty much, yeah. Other than giving Sansa a win.
The reasons I like the relationship are not reasons that I'm, like, spectacularly proud of. Like, part of me wants Sansa to have Jon be a bit of a protector of her. Like, I like that. And I also love the fact that they're essentially little Ned and little Catelyn. And I like the idea that we would get to see... That's very romantic to me, to sort of get to see Ned and Catelyn be able to have this, new life together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's... I would also really like to see Sansa not need a protector and sort of rule on her own, and Jon at some point just kind of be like, hey, I didn't ask for any of this responsibility. Do you care if I just peace? She's like, yeah, I got Winterfell. Do what you want.
Yeah, there's this girl with some dragons. That's my cousin. And that's a lot less weird.
Okay, no, it's not. Again, she is his aunt. Sansa is his cousin. It is way less genetic material is swapped. Way less genetic material is held in common between cousins than it is between aunts and nephews. If anybody everybody's free to, like, ship what they want to ship, but you should all know, if we're going to talk incest, it's way worse between Jon and Dany than it is between Jon and Sansa. And I'm not going to give that up.
I always forget that it's aunt and not cousins.
Well, considering they're probably, like, exactly the same age.
Yeah.
Within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Depending on how that all fell down. Or weeks. Yeah, I could say... yeah, it's interesting. I'm not surprised.
Sansa isn't a nightmare for me. It's like Clegane Bowl for you. It's...
Yeah, Clegane Bowl's
I'll check my
phone. It's just
phone.
10 minutes. I don't want to... Yeah, it's just 10 minutes. I'd be annoyed if they Well, I guess more, too, I'd be annoyed if they sacrificed a lot of story to get the Cleganes within 100 yards of each other. So that's more what I'm like, please don't go out of your way, but if it happens. I don't know that Jon and Sansa are going to spend much time together this season.
I don't know either.
We've seen one picture of him at Winterfell, and then spoilers and speculation, we've seen a picture of Jon in what looks to be the South. And I'm guessing Jon is trying to court an alliance with Dany.
Mm-hmm.
And we only have 7 episodes, so he's got to get down there, and they have to work together. I assume he's not just going to come straight back.
Yeah.
So, and then Sansa's going to be up at Littlefinger, and I'm guessing that Arya is going to get to Winterfell in Jon's absence, along with
maybe
Bran, maybe. And we'll see. Though I think Bran's going to make a pit stop at the Wall first. Obviously, I think he has to, but... Oh my gosh, I hope he tells everyone that Benjen's alive.
Oh, that'll be nice.
That'd be really nice.
Yeah.
But it'll be complicated, too, because they'll be like, well, he can't come back. Why not? Well, he's not...
He went for cigarettes.
When I said alive, put that in quotes. So, okay, so I'm going to do my next...
Okay.
Do not want. I do not want Jim Broadbent only to have 1 episode. Because they did that with Ian McShane last year, and it made me really sad. So,
do we know who Jim Broadbent is playing?
Jim Broadbent is playing Maester Marwyn. So he'll be at the Citadel with Sam. I think we've talked about this in the past. In the books, Maester Marwyn is the only Maester still trying to figure out magic and still interested in it and still not trying to suppress it and get it completely out of practice. He's incredibly well traveled. He is in the books the person who taught Miri Maz-Dur everything she knew about anatomy. So I want to use it as a reflection on his character, but I can't because it's not his fault. Miri Maz-Dur went crazy. That is 100% Drogo's fault.
That's all on Drogo.
Yeah. So, but I do like the idea that I feel like this guy is probably closer to Maester Marwyn than he is to any of the other Maesters in this, or Maester Qyburn. Former Maester Qyburn than he is to the other members of the Citadel. So I'm hoping that he gets to hang out with Sam for a while. And maybe, if Sam and Gilly ever leave the Citadel, they'll take him with him and he can become a regular character forever and never leave. I like Jim Broadbent a lot.
Okay. I don't have high hopes for that. Gotta be honest.
I don't think he's going to be like recurring, but I'm fingers crossed. He's such an important character.
Especially knowing that he's marked for death in the books.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they could bring a character. I think at least 2. I'm throwing down at least 2. I don't think that I was being, hyperbolic when I was like, I want him to stick around forever, but he's too important. Ray wasn't that important. Like, Ray is important because of what he facilitates, but...
Right.
Jim Broadbent has a lot of knowledge to... what's his name? Marwyn has a lot of knowledge to disseminate and is a very influential character, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have high hopes for him sticking around for a long time, but I agree that I am exceptionally excited to see him.
Yeah, me
as
too.
We've discussed.
I bet he's gonna have a weird looking hat.
I
bet he's gonna have a purple hat or something, and like not wear regular maester's robes, and have his maester chain. Mm-hmm. But he's like 100%.
But it'll be attached to his wallet.
He's the cool priest, like 100%. He is the cool priest that you went to high school with. That was like dean of students or something. Wore jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Father Dave kind of person. Also into witchcraft.
My number 2 kind of ties into your number 1 a little bit, and it is an early Jon and Daenerys meeting.
You don't want that.
I don't want it early because I think it will steamroll things too quickly.
In what way?
If Jon and Dany meet early on, then either we're going to get the Drogon, of them trying to meet, like, of them butting heads for no reason, or we're going to have them immediately become the super team. I want Jon's attention to be focused on the North for longer than I think it's going to be.
Okay. I honestly, I don't know that I can say how I feel about that until after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know what to expect in terms of pacing this year. We have reduced episodes, but they're different kinds of episodes because they're going to be overly long. With the finale being clocking in at 82, which is basically a feature film.
Right.
The Little Mermaid, for your reference, was 88 minutes. So.
Great. That is an excellent point of reference because of the similarity in storytelling style and theme.
Hey, The Little Mermaid is an animated feature. It is a feature and it is 88 minutes.
So what I'm hearing is episode 7 is going to be a musical.
No, it's just 82 minutes. And that's the only thing that I'm saying. It's the only comparison I'm drawing between the two, smartass. Okay?
Also,
it's just what popped into my head.
Patchface and Sebastian both sing about what's under the sea.
Oh, you're having a good time with this, huh?
I am.
Okay. Want to get one more in?
No, but I might end up writing an extensive Patchface versus Sebastian discussion.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Anyway, so to answer your... Yeah, I have a hard time speculating on when I want things to happen. Right, I do see what you're saying, and I hope that that particular version of events doesn't occur. But that said, I just can't predict what's going to happen at all.
Yeah.
And so I can't predict where I want things to happen. But hopefully, I think given the fact that they just have less characters, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to feel. I don't think it's going to feel that much faster than what we're used to.
Right.
Because I think we're going... I think it will, but I don't feel like it's going to feel neglectful because they're still going to be able to give people... They in the recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Benioff and Weiss talked about the fact that all the actors keep commenting that they're like, we've had more to do this season than we've ever had to do. It's crazy, even with less episodes. And they're like, well, when you kill off dozens of characters, it leaves a lot of room. So it's... I'm curious what the viewing experience is going to be like with less characters and longer episodes, but less episodes. If you and I are going to feel like it's it'll probably, like, the beginning of September, and you
How
and I are
worn
gonna
out
be
are
like,
we going to be?
yeah, I'm curious. I don't know if we are. I don't know if we're gonna be, or maybe we are, because it will have just been completely emotionally exhausted 7 Sundays in a row.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. So,
What's your number 2?
my number no, actually, my number 3.
Your number 3.
1 was Clegane Bowl. Number 2
Yeah,
is
one was
Jim
Clegane,
Broadbent having a brief run, and number 3, I don't want Jamie to die,
Aww.
and I'm really worried he will.
Yeah.
I don't see Cersei making it out of this season.
I don't see Cersei making it out of the season.
Though I feel like there's like 30% of me. They've surprised me enough. There's like 30% of me that could sees her make it through, but I kind of don't want her to, because I feel like it's a great end. Like, I feel like the only major ending they have left aside from the resolution is Cersei's death, and I think like in my head, the natural structure of things would be to end this season with that, and then follow on next season with the big war and world blending. But I feel like Jaime's going to do it and then kill himself. I don't think
as King's Landing burns around him.
Or something appropriately tragic, because I just don't think this is the kind of show where you have the synchronicity. I'm sorry, the symmetry available to you to have Jaime essentially have Jaime do what he did again and have to kill a Mad Queen. That's his sister. I don't think the show looks at that storyline possibility and says no to it, or at least says no to a happier ending for one of those people. I don't think that Jaime's going to kill her and then be like, oh, okay, well, that was necessary. I'm just going to, like, go do something else now. I think that's going to... I think all of his kids are dead. I think his sister is dead. I think Tyrion probably hates him. Or, that relationship's pretty torpedoed. And I would imagine that Jaime, just by standing by Cersei, will have made it impossible for Dany to trust him. So I don't think that even if Cersei's eliminated, Jaime can expect forgiving treatment.
Yeah.
I don't think that he can be expected to be welcomed into the fold quite so easily.
And one thing, as far as both show and books go, I can't think of a single time that the show has surprised us by letting someone live.
I know, right?
With the exception of Theon, which is a little different. It's like, it's always been, oh no, no, Rob, no Catelyn, no Ned, no Summer, no Hodor, no Rickon, etc.
By the way, we're sorry, everyone listening,
no
for
Barry.
For just like raking open 15 wounds that you've probably been healing nicely up until now. That's actually a really good point. When they have the chance to surprise us with something living, Rickon is a perfect example of that, because boy did they fake us out in a nasty, nasty way. Yeah. I don't think, like, we think he's going to be fine, and then all of a sudden he's not, in a really manipulative, pointed way. So and here's the thing, like, as much as I think Cersei is sympathetic, and I like the way they've drawn her, because I think it's a really wonderful representation of what happens to a woman who is powerful and is intelligent, but is forced almost at gunpoint to live a life that she doesn't want with a person who abuses her. I think it's a good picture of what happens when you put what was probably at one point a normal, if a little bit snotty and snooty human being into a situation like that. So I can forgive a lot of what Cersei did, even though, I don't want to spend any time with her, or at least I can't. I don't know. I can understand it, and I can see that it comes from less malice and nastiness and more pain. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't buy her a free pass. The show, I don't know what kind of values the show would claim to have if it did let her live.
Yeah.
And the thing about Jaime is, as much as everyone likes him, and I like Jaime too, it's taken Jaime a while to nut up. And he still hasn't really done it. And I think, given what we've seen of him standing by Cersei in all of the still photos we've had and all of the trailers we've had, he's going to fight by her side for a while, because Jaime can't say no to her, and that's kind of his weakness.
Right.
So, again, like, as much as I adore Jaime, I think that I don't think he's heading out to pasture. I don't think that he's going to ride off into the sunset with Brienne.
He's not going to have a Hound moment.
No, and he's not going to like go off and be a knight errant. He can't be a hedge knight. He can't, like, he doesn't really have any other options but to win with Cersei by his side, or to lose and to hope for Tyrion's forgiveness, or Tyrion's mercy. And I don't even know that he'd want it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see what Jaime has left up until this point. And as much as I love Jaime and Brienne, I have a hard time.
She's got a new boy.
Actually, Joanna Robinson, woman who covers the show for Vanity Fair and does an excellent podcast called Cast of Kings. She wrote...
Storm of Spoilers now.
It's two different ones. Cast of Kings
okay.
is non-spoiler, and then Storm of Spoilers is
okay.
spoilery. And they talk about all sorts of different shows too. She wrote a little piece about like Brienne and Tormund fans maybe should not get their hopes up, because the show has kind of telegraphed Jaime and Brienne since the beginning, whereas the Tormund-Brienne relationship really was just, according to the writers, didn't exist until
they got the shot.
Yeah, exactly. They told the actors, they told Gwendolyn Christie and the lovely Tormund, whose name I don't know how to officially pronounce yet, so I'm not going to try.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at her, and he was just supposed to apparently look at her and say, and think, oh, yeah, or just think, whoa, she's a really tall woman. I've never seen a woman that tall before. But the look that he gave her was so intense and so funny that they just ran with it, and the ship was born. And it made her uncomfortable. Like, the way that he looked at her made her uncomfortable, and it just began as this kind of romantic thing. So that's how that started. It wasn't intended. They weren't going to write this whole thing. And if you notice, there's virtually no lines about it. It's just the looks they give each other. And so I find it a little bit unlikely that they would end up together, and I think it's going to be more... I think the resolution's going to be with Brienne and Jaime as much... Though I would really like to see Brienne and Tormund at least have, like, a one-night stand.
Yeah, at least have their day.
I feel like they could share a tent. Like, a pre-battle. I feel like before another battle, they would share some sour goat's milk. I think she'd say yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of want Davos and Brienne to hang out for a minute. Like, just for a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd be like her dad, and he'd just be like, I'm just proud of you. Look at you. Look at everything you've accomplished.
You did good.
I'm just imagining him looking at her, like, practicing swordplay and just being like, well, I never. Did you look at that lady? I feel like Davos would just be tickled by Brienne.
Yeah. I could see that.
Me too.
All right, so...
I think that covers it.
Well, I got my last one yet.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry. I thought...
That's all right. We both did the same thing. My last one, I don't really want to see, with the exception of maybe the final moments of her life, I don't want to see Cersei and Dany meet in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Partially because I want to see Tyrion do it so much. But because it'll just be... It would be a pissing match. It would be Dany giving off her resume and Cersei not backing down. Because Dany doesn't have the fun/wit of Olenna.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would just be I'm the rightful queen, no, and then
yeah, I'm the rightful queen.
Reputation off.
No, I'm the rightful queen. I have dragons. I have the mountain and a bunch of wildfire.
Exactly.
It's like very approximated, terrible accents and imitations, but you get the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've thought about this a lot, because I really do want them to meet, if only, because I want something to happen that I don't think will, kind of related to, I wanted Tyrion and Cersei and Jaime to all have kind of a mutual comfort moment and, like, be siblings again for a minute. I kind of wanted Dany to hear what happened to Cersei and to meet her with a little bit of compassion and just to say, you're a terrible monarch, but boy, I lost one kid. I lost one child. And I was because also, if you think about it, Dany and Cersei have quite a bit in common when you think about the duty they had thrust upon them being forced to marry people they didn't want to marry, not being in control of their own life for much of their own life. And, you know, Dany got control and was able to do one thing with it, and Cersei eventually got control and did this thing with it. And it's... I kind of want to see them meet just to see if maybe the writers won't figure out a way to express how important the environments were in the way both of these women turned out, or to express how unimportant they were, and how Cersei would have probably turned out the same anyway. She would have still been vain, haughty, and self-serving. She just might not have been as violent, pushed to that limit. And Dany might have still come out on top if she had had an even worse time of it than she already had, which is tough to imagine. I don't know. But I do see the danger of that, because I don't think it's very likely that she and Dany are going to share an emotional moment unless they get to spend some time together alone, which is doubtful. And we aren't going to,
and we won't see Dany do her awesome moment with the Wise Masters with Cersei.
No. I think Dany probably already has Dany's going to have a pretty preformed opinion of Cersei when they meet. I have a feeling they're going to meet, and it's going to be a lot of Tyrion and Jaime, Tyrion and Cersei, a little bit of Dany and Cersei, and then maybe some Ronnie, maybe some Euron Greyjoy, because I imagine he'll be there at this point. I'm banking a lot of these predictions on the fact that I think Ronnie Greyjoy and Cersei are going to forge some sort of marriage of convenience. Or psychotic lust. Either is possible.
I'm gonna... Yeah.
No?
Psychotic lust?
I think... Gosh, man, I kind of ship these two. I ship them crazy. I think they could have some just really choice hate sex.
Well, I mean, we aren't seeing Yara, so I'll give it to you.
Thanks. Well, I think it's pretty clear that Euron ends up at King's Landing, and I think Euron is exactly the type of person to be like, okay, well, I couldn't marry the Dragon Queen, so I'll marry this lady instead. Yeah. She'll be just as easy to kill. She's older, and she won't want children. Or actually, he probably won't that. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so with that, 6 days by the time you're listening, guys.
6 days by the time you're listening, and we will be back Sunday night. No longer on Mondays. We'll be back Sunday night. Well, I mean, we'll be recording Sunday night. We'll be releasing it Sunday night. It'll probably be late because we get this. Both Johnny and I are PST, and sometimes that affects when we can watch / actually discuss this. So we will be recording and putting things up Sunday night. You'll have it in your earballs by Monday morning. Whenever you listen to it. It will be online by Sunday night, or like if not very, very, very early, like midnight Monday morning. And we've talked about the idea of doing a secondary episode during the week. We'll see if it's needed. Yeah. We don't have an answer for that yet. We're going to discuss more during the week, but definitely we're switching from Mondays to Sundays. We'll still do a little bit of Supervite here and there, but as always, most of these episodes will be based on just episode discussion. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in during our off-season content. We're so excited to get back in the swing of things. Yeah. So, and let us know who's going to be at Comic-Con this year. Yeah, because we will both be. We will both be there. We will both have panels we're running. Or panels we are on. So, yeah. Don't be a stranger. Yep. Bye folks.